Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening as we celebrate the careers of so many outstanding individuals who have dedicated themselves to the students, schools, and educational community of St. Mary's County Public Schools. My name is Jeff Marr, and it is my pleasure to welcome you here to tonight's event. We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, thank you to all of the staff, families, and community members who have come together to celebrate this evening. We are joined by many others who have come to applaud our staff. Please stand as I introduce you. Ms. Karen Bailey, Chairman of the Board of Education. Ms. Kathy Allen, Vice Chair. Ms. Mary Washington, Member, Board of Education. Superintendent, Dr. Scott Smith. Deputy Superintendent, Dr. Maureen Montgomery. Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Human Resources, Ms. Tammy McCourt. Assistant Superintendent of Supporting Services, Dr. Jeff Walker. And I believe I also saw Dr. Kelly Hall come in, Executive Director of Supplemental School Programs. We also have, as part of who will be joining us in doing the presentation, Supervisor of Human Resources, Dr. Beth Beasley. And Coordinator of Benefits, Ms. Leslie Fancella. I also want to thank our many administrators, assistant principals, and principals who have joined us tonight to celebrate your accomplishments. Please stand and be recognized. Thank you all. I also want to welcome our representatives from the Education Association, Ms. Liz Purcell-Leskinen and Ms. Jill Morris. And our Retirees Association, Dr. Bob Abel and Carol Walgamuth. Thank you. I also want to give a special thank you to Mr. Egan and the staff here at the Dr. James A. Forrest Career and Technology Center for hosting tonight's event. We are streaming tonight's ceremony live on our school system website, and we'll be posting it on our YouTube channel as well. And I want to thank our team in the Department of Strategic Planning and Communications, as well as the students of the Forrest Center's video production program for making this possible. Let's give them a round of applause. Well, each year, the Board of Education of St. Mary's County honors staff who have dedicated their careers to our schools, our system, and our students. For some of our honorees tonight, they are retiring and blissfully entering the next chapter of their lives. For others, they have reached a milestone of service for the 2018-2019 school year, as we honor school system employees who have completed their 25th, 30th, 35th, 40th, and 45th year of continuous dedicated service. Let's give them a round of applause. We are celebrating these amazing people who have built a legacy here in St. Mary's County Public Schools. Now, for our retirees, I often see retired teachers, educators, and school system employees in this community, and they have one thing in common. They're always smiling. I would like to think that their permanent smile was because they no longer had to do lesson plans or write a hall pass or wake up early, and that may be true. But I think the deeper meaning behind their smiling is a lifetime satisfaction of knowing that their work mattered. Their work mattered because they made others feel they mattered. For those who have chosen education as a career in St. Mary's County, we thank you. Knowing you and the work you do each day, I can tell you that you have made a difference, one where the impact may be seen today, but may also continue to shine in years to come. For every one of you, you touched the lives of our students, whether it was getting them to school safely, teaching them art, providing technical support behind the scenes, or serving a healthy meal. You helped them along their journey. For your work, for your time and for your dedication to St. Mary's County Public Schools. We thank you, and we are so happy to recognize you tonight. Though some of our honorees are unable to attend, we are happy for those of you who could be here, and we sincerely thank all of our dedicated employees for their numerous years of service. Together, our honorees tonight have a combined 2,000 years of service. Before I introduce Dr. Smith to say a few remarks, I just want to do a few housekeeping details. We're going to invite our guests in a moment to join us on stage to congratulate you. And as you come across the stairs here, please come down the center aisle and walk across, and then you'll exit to my right. We will also then take a group picture of each group of our length of service group as a whole group, and then our retirees as a whole group before we close the afternoon. So, Dr. Smith.
No great fanfare of introduction, Dr. Marr. And now, Scott. All right, great. This concludes the month of May and early June speeches that I give, and conversations and recognitions and clapping and handshaking. It is such an incredible, fitting way to end recognition of all the people that make St. Mary's County Public Schools so great. Beginning and endings. I get to begin this afternoon, and Karen Bailey gets to end this afternoon. I understand she has brought a poem that she is going to share. So I do not have a poem to share, so there you go. As educators and education support professionals, we are really aware of when things begin and when things end, because we've been living in a school year cycle of fall and winter and spring and summer, and then a reset over and over and over again. Each fall, we all gather with hope in our hearts, and we decorate our classrooms, and we get everything just so, and we revise all of our lesson plans and curricula and how we're going to do things this day and that day, and get everything just ready. And we are so excited to impart life lessons and to shape young minds. And then we get kids in, and we have Halloween and Thanksgiving and winter break and snow days, and it's so exciting, and we celebrate our kids' enthusiasm, and we draw energy from it. And then around February, we begin quietly counting days until we can celebrate the year ending. And we count down through spring and through May and into June. And how many days do we have left? 8. Well, let's give ourselves a day. Really 7. It's really like 7 days, really, honestly. The last ones are all right, great. And for those of you who are not retiring and those of you who are coming back, we're going to start this whole thing all over again next year. This afternoon, we're going to celebrate those people, first of all, who have done the loop for 25 years or more. Raise your hand if you've done 25 years. Very nice. Good. Glad that you're still here with us. Close to the 30. How many of you have reached 30? Yay, good. That's great. That's fantastic. How many people have reached 35? Oh, what stamina. Oh, you're going for. How many people have done 40 years? That's fantastic. We're going to recognize 3 people that have hit 45 years with St. Mary's County Public Schools. Ethel Smith, Terry Fenwick, Charles Spalding, they've been with St. Mary's Public Schools since before our nation celebrated a bicentennial. They started in 1974. Nixon and Watergate and G.I. Joe got Kung Fu grip and gas was 50 cents and Scott was 8 years old and running around the neighborhood in slow motion in Toughskins thinking he was like the $6 million man. You've been with us a very long time, and your service is just exceptional. To stay in a system for 5 years or 10 years, that's something that's not normal. That's something that really is above board. 15 and 20, that's fantastic. 25 is an accomplishment. 30 is a professional career, and every year after 30, you are doing it because you love what you do. Or your spouse is somebody that you don't want to spend time with, and so you're going to be so. Congratulations to all of you reaching milestones. Let's give them all a round of applause. So once we recognize all of those people reaching those milestones, then we're going to recognize the 63 employees who have earned their retirement. Now, some won't be with us today because they are enjoying that last lap around the school or the pool or wherever they may be. But for those of you who are here, thank you very much. Retirement is the day where you get to come home and say, "Honey, I'm home forever." But you won't stay home forever. You, as a retiree group, you're so involved in the lives of your community and your lives of your colleagues. Many of you coming back and working with the school system and with our kids and mentoring the next generation of teacher or support professional. You really are an incredible group. So I don't have a poem, but I do have a quote. George Bernard Shaw says, "You don't stop laughing when you grow old. You grow old when you stop laughing." I hope that you never grow old and your days are full of laughter. You have earned it. You have earned recognition today. For those of you who are returning next year, I can't wait to go all around with you one more time. And for those who are retiring, you will be missed. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Smith. We will begin tonight's recognitions with our length of service honorees. To lead these, I will invite Dr. Beth Beasley, Supervisor of Human Resources, to the stage. I'd also like for our board members and our assistant superintendents and deputy superintendent to please join us on the stage with the superintendent to congratulate you as you are recognized. Thank you. Dr. Beasley.
In recognizing each of you, we sincerely appreciate your commitment as employees of St. Mary's County Public Schools. As a symbol of service, each of our honorees will receive a certificate and a length of service pin in recognizing your years of service to the students of St. Mary's County. I would like to commend and compliment each of our honored employees and to sincerely thank you all for all you have done and continue to do for our students and our school system. We'll start with 25 years of service. Patricia Agate, Chopticon High School. Crystal Brookins, Margaret Brent Middle School. William Butler, Department of Operations. Adam Cropper, Leonardtown High School. Dalton Johnson, Leonardtown Middle School. Thomas Pfister, Margaret Brent Middle School. Andrew Roper, Department of Curriculum and Instruction. Denise Shaw, Leonardtown High School. Thomas Simpson, Green Holly Elementary School. Tracy Slack, Captain Walter Francis Duke Elementary. Julia Steele, White Marsh Elementary. And Sean Twigg, Margaret Brent Middle School. He gets all the applause. Now 30 years. We have Lisa Bachner, Department of Curriculum and Instruction. Mary Louise Burke, Captain Walter Francis Duke Elementary. Christine Dybert, Letty Marshall Dent Elementary School. Michael Fink, Great Mills High School. Cynthia Fletcher, Green Holly Elementary. Donald Fletcher, Great Mills High School. Jerry Glenn, Department of Operations. Margaret Goff, Letty Marshall Dent Elementary. Charles Herbert, Department of Operations. Robert Hinman, Park Hall Elementary. Cynthia Lily Hughes, Leonardtown Middle School. Anthony Lisanti, Chopticon High School. Karen Mattingly, Green Holly Elementary School. Renee Maxey, Mechanicsville Elementary. Andrea Miller, Town Creek Elementary. Amy Morris, Oakville Elementary. David Morris, Captain Walter Francis Duke Elementary. Beverly Morrison, Ridge Elementary. Ronald Norris, Department of Maintenance. Renee Sadecki, Dinard Elementary. Patricia Simpson, Mechanicsville Elementary. Jill Snyder Mills, Leonardtown High School. Tammy Somerville, Department of Food Service. Linda Taltavol, Department of Food Service. Xenia Wallish, Head Start. Alice Willingham, Chopticon High School. Patricia Wentz, Department of Student Services. 30 years. Now we have 35 years of service. Jody Fagnano, Leonardtown Elementary. Jennifer Kubke, Green Holly Elementary. Frances Mason, Department of Maintenance. Frances Mills, Department of Operations. Catherine Molesky, Oakville Elementary School. John Settle, Chopticon High School. Thomas Woodland, Department of Operations. For 40 years, we have Susan Hausman, Spring Ridge Middle School. And for 45 years, Terry Fenwick, Department of Operations. Ethel Smith, Spring Ridge Middle School. Charles Spalding, Department of Maintenance. Please join me in congratulating each of these staff for their many years of service. We now want to take time to recognize our staff who are retiring. To lead this portion of the program, I'd like to welcome Leslie Fancella, Coordinator of Benefits and Human Resources, to the stage. As she approaches the podium, I want to thank her for the help and guidance she provides our employees, and me personally, as they make this transition to retirement. Mrs. Fancella.
Thank you, Dr. Beasley. And now for our 2019 retirees, we're recognizing everyone that's retired in 2019, regardless of whether or not they're able to attend, in alphabetical order. Diane Ball began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 2004 as a kindergarten paraprofessional at Park Hall Elementary School and concludes her employment at Park Hall as a pre-K para, serving 15 years. Mary Belair began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in June 1976 as a bus driver and concludes her employment as a bus driver, serving 43 years. Iris Bland began her career with SMCPS in December 2003 as a building service worker at George Washington Carver Elementary School and concludes her employment as a building service worker in the Department of Operations, serving 15 years. Sue Boas began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in December 2001 as a Behavior Management Center paraprofessional at Leonardtown Elementary School and concludes her employment as an instructional paraeducator at Evergreen, serving 18 years. Karen Bowles began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in March 1989 as a cafeteria worker at Hollywood Elementary School and concludes her employment as a food service worker at Chopticon Elementary School, serving 30 years. Denise Bryce began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 2005 as a mathematics teacher at Leonardtown High School and concludes her employment as a mathematics teacher at Leonardtown High School, serving 14 years with SMCPS. Ernestine Briscoe began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 2000 as an 11-month secretary at George Washington Carver Elementary School and concludes her employment in the same position, serving 19 years. Claire Brubaker began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 1995 as a paraprofessional at Dinard and concludes her employment as a kindergarten para at Evergreen, serving 23 years. Charlotte Buckler began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in 1978 as a driver's education instructor at St. Mary's Technical Center and concludes her employment as a special ed para at Leonardtown High School, serving 41 years. Monica Serquez began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August of 2000 as an art teacher at Spring Ridge Middle School and concludes her employment at Chopticon High School, serving 19 years. Eugenia Gina Clifton began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 1987 as a secretary at the Leonardtown office and concluded her employment as an HR assistant. She served a total of 29 years. Florence Klein began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in February of 2005 as a special education paraprofessional in the Department of Special Education and is concluding her employment as a special ed para at Lexington Park Elementary School, serving 14 years. Melissa Cortines began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 1990 as a reading teacher at Leonardtown Middle School and concludes her employment as a science teacher, serving 29 years. Patricia Davidson began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 1986 as a teacher's aide at Lexington Park Elementary School and concludes 33 years of service as secretary to the principal at Lexington Park Elementary School. Angela Dean began her career with SMCPS in August 1998 as a special education paraprofessional at Hollywood Elementary School and concludes her employment as a kindergarten para at Hollywood Elementary School, serving 21 years. Emma Doncevic began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 2003 as a special education paraprofessional at Margaret Brent Middle and concludes her employment as a special education paraprofessional at Chesapeake Public Charter Schools, serving 15 years. Sharon Doyne began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 1996 as a bus driver and concludes her career serving 23 years. Noni Evans began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in September 1986 as an elementary teacher at Leonardtown Elementary and is concluding her employment as an elementary teacher at Piney Point Elementary, serving 33 years. Elizabeth Furco began her career with SMCPS in August 2009 as an elementary teacher at Lexington Park Elementary School and is concluding her employment at Ridge Elementary School, retiring after 10 years. Stephen Fogel began his career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 2007 as an English teacher at Esperanza Middle School and concludes his employment as a drama teacher at Leonardtown High School, serving 12 years. Lucera Fox began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in February 2004 as a bus driver and is concluding her career serving 15 years. Teresa Gibbons began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools August 2004 as a kindergarten paraprofessional at Banneker and is concluding her career as a teacher at Letty Marshall Dent, serving 15 years. Jerry Glenn began his career with St. Mary's County Public Schools January 1989 as general custodian at Margaret Brent Middle School and concluding his employment as building service crew leader, serving 30 years. Florence Grayson began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools August 1985 as a special education teacher at Ridge Elementary School and is retiring from that same assignment, serving 34 years. Mary Hancock began her career with SMCPS in January 2001 as a food service worker at Letty Marshall Dent Elementary School and concludes 18 years of service in the same position. Larry Hartwick began his career with SMCPS in July 1997 as the Supervisor of Maintenance and Operations and concludes his service as Supervisor of Design and Construction, serving a total of 14 years. Kathleen Hayden began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in September 1997 as a Behavior Management Center paraprofessional at Letty Marshall Dent Elementary School and concludes 22 years of service as an 11-month secretary, also at Letty Marshall Dent. Paul Holt began his career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 1997 as general custodian of Leonardtown High School and concludes his service as Assistant Building Service Manager 2 with the Department of Operations, serving 22 years. Donna Humphrey began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools November 1981 as an English teacher at Great Mills High School and is concluding her service as an English teacher at Leonardtown High School, serving 38 years. Nina Hunt began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in October 2000 as a bus driver and is retiring after 19 years. Ann Johnson began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 1985 as a social studies teacher at Spring Ridge Middle School and concludes her service as vocational evaluator at the Dr. James A. Forrest Career and Technology Center, serving 34 years. Eugene Johnson began his career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 1992 as a general custodian at Leonardtown Middle and High Schools and concluded his service as building service worker in the Department of Operations, serving 26 years. Viola Jones began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in October 2005 as a hall monitor at Great Mills High School and concludes her service as a safety and security team leader, serving 14 years. Mary Naggs began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 2008 as a business education teacher at Great Mills High School and is concluding that position, serving 11 years. Jeannie Krzyzewski began her career at St. Mary's County Public Schools in September 2006 as a pre-K para-educator at Greenview Knowles Elementary School and concluded her service as a kindergarten para at Chesapeake Charter School, serving 12 years. Jane Lacey began her career with SMCPS in October 2006 as a food service manager at Margaret Brent and concluded her service in that same position, serving 12 years. Bernard Lake began his career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in January 2006 as a business teacher at Leonardtown High School and is concluding 13 years of service as a business teacher at Great Mills High School. Rosalind Lake began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 2006 as a child development staff paraeducator at Leonardtown High School and is retiring from that position after 13 years of service. Barbara Jean Loeffler began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 1983 as a business teacher at Leonardtown High School and is retiring from that position after serving 36 years of service. Sandra Matley began her career with SMCPS in August 2005 as a special education teacher at Great Mills High School and is concluding her service as a special education teacher at Esperanza Middle School, serving 14 years. Christian Myers began his service with St. Mary's County Public Schools in January of 1990 as a social studies teacher at Esperanza Middle School and is retiring from that position at Esperanza, serving 30 years. Congratulations. Lynn Molina began her career with SMCPS in August 1988 as a Spanish teacher at Leonardtown Middle and Margaret Brent Middle, and concludes her career as an elementary education teacher at Hollywood, serving 31 years. Kathleen Parker began her career with SMCPS in August 1985 as a media aide at Letty Marshall Dent Elementary School and is concluding a 34-year career at Letty Marshall Dent as a media clerk. Robert Parsley began his career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in May 1995 as a high school paraprofessional at Chopticon High School and concluded his service as a technology education teacher at the Dr. James A. Forrest Career and Technology Center, serving 24 years. Lucy Peterkin began her career with SMCPS in December 2010 as a food service worker at Dinard and is retiring from that position after 8 years. Virginia Pugh began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August of 1999 as an elementary school teacher at Dinard and is retiring from that position, serving 20 years. Patricia Quaid began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in December 1997 as a food service worker at Chopticon and is concluding her service at Chopticon, serving 22 years. Wanda Reed began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 1990 as an art teacher at Leonardtown Middle and is retiring from Esperanza Middle School as an art teacher, serving 29 years. Jane Roach began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in December 1997 as a special education paraeducator at the Tech Center and is concluding her career as a special education teacher at Leonardtown High School, serving 22 years. Dr. Andrew Roper began his career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in November 1993 as Supervisor of Instruction at the Loveville office and concludes his service as Supervisor of Instruction for PE and Health in the Department of Curriculum and Instruction, serving 26 years. John Russell began his career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in July 2006 as a building service worker at Chopticon and is retiring from that position, serving 13 years. Rebecca Russell began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 1983 as a Spanish business teacher at Chopticon High School and concluded her service as a Spanish teacher at Leonardtown High School, serving 35 years. Shirley Scott began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in March 2004 as a building service worker at Great Mills High School and is retiring from that position, serving 15 years. Mary Jane Self began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in July 1981 as a special education teacher at Spring Ridge Middle School and is concluding her career as a career support special educator at the Dr. James A. Forrest Career and Technology Center, serving 38 years. Kathleen Schubert began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 1999 as an elementary teacher at Lexington Park Elementary School and is retiring as an elementary teacher at Evergreen, serving 20 years. Ethel Smith began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in October of 1974 as a science teacher at Spring Ridge, and she is concluding her service as a social studies teacher at Spring Ridge, serving 45 years at the same school. Antone Chicago Smith began his career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in July 1998 as a high school paraprofessional at Chopticon High School and is concluding his service there as a safety and security team leader, serving 22 years. Cynthia Stair began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in July 1980 as a special educator at Letty Marshall Dent Elementary School and is retiring as an elementary education teacher at Hollywood, serving 39 years. Jashiri Verma began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 2004 as a paraeducator at Green Holly Elementary School in the Judy Center and concluded her career as paraeducator in the Judy Center, serving 15 years. Nancy Williams began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 2011 as a special education teacher at Margaret Brent Middle School and concluded her service as a special education teacher at Fairlead Academy II, serving 7 years. Alice Willingham began her career at St. Mary's County Public Schools in August 1989 as an English teacher at Spring Ridge and concludes her service as an English teacher at Chopticon, serving 30 years. Patricia Wentz began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in October of 1989 as a nurse at Green Holly Elementary School and concludes her service as the Supervisor of Health Services, retiring after 30 years. Jackie Waddell began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in April 1999 as a special education paraprofessional at White Marsh Elementary School and concludes her career as paraeducator in kindergarten at Benjamin Banneker Elementary School, serving 20 years. Barbara Young began her career with St. Mary's County Public Schools in November 2006 as a food service worker at Great Mills High School and retired from that same position, serving 13 years at Great Mills. Congratulations to all of our retirees. We wish you the very, very best. And I'd like to introduce Ms. Karen Bailey, Board Chairman, to give remarks.
So they don't usually let me wrap up these things, so I'm still going to keep it short. We have an ongoing joke, which clearly Dr. Smith alluded to at the beginning, about poems and quotes. So we actually made it through 3 graduations last week without a poem or a quote. So I wasn't sure what he was going to do tonight, so I figured I had to step up my game a little bit, since this is kind of the last celebratory event of the school year. So I went to Shel Silverstein, okay? And the poem that I selected was Listen to the Mustn'ts. Listen to the mustn'ts, child. Listen to the don'ts. Listen to the shouldn'ts, the impossible, the won'ts. Listen to the never haves, then listen close to me. Anything can happen, child. Anything can be. So to me, this sums up what you guys do every single day. Whether you are a building service worker, a teacher, a bus driver, a cafeteria worker, you touch a child every single day. And I read this for the first time when I was in 5th grade. I was thrilled because Mrs. Bookwalter, who had a reputation for being a very mean, yelling teacher, was out on maternity leave. So I then got my favorite 3rd grade teacher who moved up, and she was taking over her class. So we had a lot of good discussions about this poem, and it was great then because as a 11-year-old kid, you think, oh, well, you know, the adults are just telling you what you can't do, right? You can't cross the street without looking both ways. You can't do this, you can't do that. Really, all they wanted to do was they wanted us to survive childhood, right? But now, when you think about it, it really is inspiring because all of that chatter that surrounds a child about what you can't do, at the very end, it tells you what you can do. Right? And that's what you guys do every day. You're inspiring the students to achieve. You inspire them to set goals. You inspire them to reach for their dreams and be the best person that they can be. You allow them to see that anything is possible and anything can happen and life can take a turn and they can still be successful at it. And that is the gift that you have given the children and the students of St. Mary's County Public Schools. And that is why we are here, and that is what we are thanking you for today. So we appreciate your dedication to our students, and we clearly would not be successful without that because you are the people who inspire at various points throughout the day. So for those of you who are being honored for your years of service, thank you, and we look forward to next year, right? Everything starts again in October, the cycle goes on. For those of you who are retiring, we wish you the best of your next endeavor. No, I said August, didn't I? Oops, sorry, October. Oh. That's going to be, see, that's why I don't wrap up. That's why I don't wrap up. Yeah, so I really changed the calendar, didn't I? August. But then for those of you who are retiring, there is another great Shel Silverstein poem about where the sidewalk ends, which is all about, you know, you get yourself through the tough part of life, and then at the end you have this great, like, sunny green pastures, the air smells better, and clearly that's retirement. So good luck to all of you, and thank you.
Just to clarify, August. For those returning, you don't get another 2 months off. Thank you, Mrs. Bailey. As we close, we want to thank you for coming. But before we break for refreshments and some group photos, I'd like to welcome Dr. Robert Abel, co-president of the St. Mary's County Public Schools Retirees Association, and Jill Morris, president of the Education Association, who will bring a few words for you about post-retirement opportunities. And following their remarks, we would like to invite first our length of service group of employees to the front so we can do a group photo, and then we'll do the retirees. and then there are some wonderful refreshments in the back. So thank you all for your service and for being here tonight. Bob?
Good afternoon. First of all, those of you retiring,